BattleBit Remastered sports a lot of attachments to unlock on guns. With double-digit underbarrel grips and barrel attachments in the game, all of which have their own effects on a weapon, it can be a real chore to work out which attachments bring you the best results in-game. Today, we're here to answer those questions and eliminate some of the guesswork. G'day there once again viewers, your mate Kamikaze78 here, and welcome to our BattleBit Attachments Guide Early Access Edition. So folks, I say early access edition here because there is a very good chance that the attachment ecosystem is going to change for BattleBit in the future. As of right now, there may be a lot of attachments per category, but there are some clear winners and some clear losers that are straight downgrades to their competitors. There's a lot of balancing work to do here, but I still wanted to create a point-in-time piece of content to help folks understand what attachments they should be running with in-game right now. Because once you understand what to equip, it will greatly impact how your weapon performs in-game. Before we get into things here though, I do want to once again say a big thank you to Apex Gaming PCs for partnering with the channel here today. If you're looking to get into the PC gaming scene for the first time, or maybe looking for an upgrade to what you currently have, Apex Gaming PCs have got you covered. Through this partnership, I've worked with them to create a line of 3 PCs for you to choose from that range in power and budget, but you can also customize each of these configurations to something a little bit more to your liking as well. I've also got a sweet deal for the community here as well. If you use the link in the description down below and use code Kamikaze, you'll grab 10% off of your order. So get on down there and give it a squiz if you're in the market for a new gaming PC. Once again, big thanks to Apex Gaming PCs for sponsoring the channel here today. But okay, returning to the matter at hand though, let's kick off with the barrel attachments. For barrel attachments, I want to go through a few of them here that fit into, let's say, different roles and use cases. I'm not going to go through all of them, but the ones that we do miss out on here today, it's safe to assume that they're not worth using, quite frankly. The first one you'll unlock for most weapons is the Compensator, which acts as a nice solid pick to help mitigate against a weapon's recoil on all fronts. It's a true jack of all trades, if you will. It's actually a barrel attachment that I catch myself sticking with quite often, even after unlocking other competitors. The Compensator improves a weapon's vertical recoil by 2% and your horizontal recoil by 5%, which will definitely be a good stepping stone to dealing with some of the more troublesome weapons out there, especially in tandem with a couple of grips that you unlock later down the line. The downside here is that it does reduce your accuracy by approximately 13%, which is definitely something that you'll need to consider here as well. But as a starting point and as an all-rounder, it's actually not a bad pick at all. As you get around to unlocking the DGN 308, which sports a 3% reduction to both vertical and horizontal recoil values with only a 4% reduction to accuracy, this may be a fitting replacement if you don't see the horizontal recoil on the weapon of choice being too painful, but that's up to you guys, of course. Now, let's say that the vertical recoil is your biggest concern here and keeps getting away from you under longer bursts. Well, look no further than the Tactical Barrel. Typically a mid-tier unlock on most weapons, this beast reduces your vertical recoil by 11% and your horizontal recoil by 2% at the cost of a 5% increase to your first shot multiplier and approximately a 2% decrease to your overall accuracy. It's a great attachment for turning a lot of weapons into what feel like afterwards recoilless laser beams, but tap firing with the weapon is going to become very frustrating very quickly thanks to that first shot multiplier increase. It's why I'll never recommend running the Tactical Barrel on weapons like DMRs. The more you see yourself, coming across the first shot multiplier, the more it's going to serve to be a pain in the ass where it shouldn't be. But on the flip side, let's say the horizontal recoil is where the problem sits for you. And trust me, there's multiple weapons out there where that will be the problem. What barrels should you equip then? Well, that's where the Flash Hider comes into play. The Flash Hider brings forth to the table a 20% reduction to horizontal recoil while also practically ridding your weapon of its muzzle flash, which can come with its own rewards as well. But it does come with a catch. A 40% increase to vertical recoil. Now, you'll often hear the same old sentiment in the community that vertical recoil is easy to control, so this attachment is always worth it because you can just pull down on the mouse harder to counteract its biggest downside. And while yes, there is some truth to that, a 40% increase is nothing to scoff at. And despite its benefits to the horizontal recoil, I actually don't rate the Flash Hider in a lot of situations. It makes a lot of weapons feel overly cumbersome, and in aggregate, it's likely to be more of a pain than it's actually worth. There's some unique situations where this attachment is a good pick, but it's not a catch-all by any means. Now, of course, we do have to quickly talk about the long and heavy barrels here, and of course the suppressors. Both the long and heavy barrels provide a 5% damage buff to your weapon's firepower, alongside a variety of other effects. At one point, the heavy barrel used to hold a 10% damage buff, which is why you may be looking at the graphics on screen now, sort of scratching your head, wondering why there's such a difference in effectiveness here. There's no other way to put it here, guys. Do not bother with the heavy barrel right now. I've got a feeling that it's still balanced around holding that 10% damage buff as opposed to the 5% that it's using right now, and I think some more balancing work needs to go in there. So PSA, don't use the heavy barrel right now. But it begs the question, when should you equip the long barrel? And the answer to that is only in situations where doing so improves your weapon's bullet to kill consistency across multiple armor classes, or outright bumps your bullet to kill up a whole tier. It's pretty rare to see this right now in the game's armory, but if you see a weapon with, say, 24 or 32 maximum damage, it's definitely worth considering the long barrel because it may bump your 5-shot kill weapon up to a 4-shot kill, or a 4-shot up to a 3-shot, so on and so forth. On top of that, weapons that sport a maximum damage of 31 or 40 also benefit from this effect as it improves their consistency against normal armors. So definitely keep that in the back of your mind, folks, because you can do some really interesting stuff with these attachments. Suppressors are also an interesting beast that I'll quickly mention here as well. They're great for more stealthy engagements and for keeping your profile low on those flanking routes, but they also come with a very, very healthy collection of downsides, especially the long suppressor with that 30% increase to vertical recoil. Don't equip these things lightly. You need to be playing stealthy to make them worth your while. If you're just running head on into enemy contact the whole time, you're really not getting any benefit out of them. So that's a lot about the barrel mods here. Let's step away from the front of the gun and get into probably the second most important slot on your weapon, the underbarrel. Once again, we have a stocked up arsenal of grips to choose from here that all have a variety of effects on your weapon. It's overwhelming, and fair enough. But believe it or not, out of this list, there's only 4, maybe 5 I catch myself running on the regular and recommending. So let's go over those. The stubby grip is the first grip that you unlock for most weapons in the game, which carries a 4% improvement to vertical recoil and a 6% improvement to horizontal recoil, along with the added bonus of a 10% draw speed improvement. There is also a small cost to the running speed here, but that's something that we see pretty consistently across all grips in the game here, so don't let that deter you too much, folks. Much like the compensator, in the sense of it being the entry-level option, this is not a bad jack-of-all-trades option that will help you to limit a weapon's kick a little bit further no matter what gun you're using. Unlike the compensator, it's not an option I catch myself sitting with for the long run, but it is an instant equip when I unlock it initially to carry me over to a few new options. Before we get into our more specialized grips for the day, I did want to do a quick shout out for the SE5 grip here as well. Rocking a 7% improvement to both vertical and horizontal recoil, it's a very nice option for getting your weapon of choice's recoil down pat just that little bit more across the board as a flat rate. Unfortunately, we do see some pain in the reload time and the ADS time here as a result of using the SE5, which makes this less than ideal option for more aggressive players. I'd call this more of a top pick for your, let's say, calmer weapons, the ones that find themselves getting into a groove at those medium range engagement distances. Again, a good pick for a nice, simple recoil reduction for a calmer player. But looping back here and speaking of instant equips when I unlock something, we really can't go any further in this video without talking about the B25 URK grip. This is a grip that I have recommended time and time again in my weapon review videos, and maybe it's my hyper-aggressive ADHD riddled playstyle that puts a bias on this choice here, but there's no denying that this is one of the best grips in the game, hands down. Not only does it sport a 5% improvement to your vertical and horizontal recoil, but it also throws a 9% buff onto your weapon's reload time, and that can obviously stack with any quick A or short magazine that you throw on board here as well. All of this does come at a slight cost to the weapon control stat and to your run speed, only by a magnitude of 2.5% mind you, but in all honesty folks, if you're an aggressive player, this is the grip that you should be running on the majority of your weapons. The benefits that bring it to the table put it in such a solid position, especially when compared against the other options available to you. I'm pretty sure that all of my SMGs that can take a grip run this grip, so don't mess around, rock the B25 URK on those aggressive kits folks. The The next and final two grips I want to talk about here today before we wrap up the video that I consider worth your time are the BCM Gunfighter grip and the vertical grip. These both represent, let's just say, the extreme for dealing with a certain type of weapon recoil, whether it be horizontal or vertical, but they are the best in their class for each respectively, and I very much recommend giving them a go depending on your use case. Starting off with the BCM Gunfighter grip here we have the king of wrangling down the horizontal recoil on any weapon, by a considerable margin too. Rocking a 10% reduction on the horizontal recoil here, along with a 1% reduction to the reload time, it's a grip that goes hard on those shaky weapons in the arsenal. Weapons that come to mind include the Scar H, the FAL, the AK-15, so on and so forth. It really helps to make those weapons a lot more consistent in their crosshair placement mid-burst while you try to control the recoil, and that can go such a long way in making the most of your firefights and being more consistent. If you were to choose between the Flash Hider and this grip to compensate for that horizontal recoil element of your weapons, I would say that this is a far better pick, hands down, with less skeletons in the closet. Which leaves us with the vertical grip here today, which, as the name implies, has the greatest impact on your vertical recoil out of any grip in the game, reducing the vertical recoil on your weapon by a whopping, 20%. It's no laughing matter here, folks. And on the right weapon, this can be a really solid benefit to have in action. I know that for the Scorpion Evo in particular, this grip is going to be a non-negotiable for a lot of players. It's also great on weapons that sport a relatively minimal horizontal recoil here as well. The likes of the AK-74, the M4A1, the G36C, or the AUG all benefit greatly from this grip, turning them into absolute lasers that with, say, a tactical barrel attachment means that you really don't have to control much recoil at all. Unfortunately, it does come with a 4% hit to the horizontal recoil and a 10% hit to your ADS time, which consequently sees me personally taking this grip less often in my own gameplay. Don't get me wrong, it's a good grip to run for most players out there, but as someone who has gotten pretty good at controlling vertical recoil in games during my tenure as a gamer, it's not something that I find myself running all that much. If I want to turn my brain off and just laser people from dumb distances, sure, I'll take the vertical grip, but beyond that, I'll often take other picks as a result. And folks, much to my bewilderment, and I'm sure yours as well, I managed to make a 13-minute long video talking about 2 categories of attachments in a video game. If that isn't a sign to go and touch grass sometime, I don't know what is. But nonetheless, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, a backhand of the like button would be greatly appreciated, as it does go a long way to support the content that we do here. And if you guys want to see more content like this in the future, hit that subscribe button to stay up to date going forward. And as always, check out my social media links in the description down below. Once again, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Peace out, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Take care, guys. Have a good one.